Hello everyone, welcome back to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. I'm Oluwanifemi Kolawole, and with me today is Chimgozirim. Pronounce your surname.
Nkoma.
Wakoma.
No, please, just don't worry, just go ahead.
Chimgozirim.
Leave it like that.
We are here today to talk about 3 interesting stories that we picked out or selected from the numerous things that happened in the African tech space this week. And we're looking at ride-hailing drivers protest in Kenya that started or that took place like 2 days ago. Then we're going to look at Chowdeck's entry into the in-app advertisement space. Then we also look at a new thing from the federal government. Nigeria is planning to develop an app for farmers. We will see why and the viability of such an app. So let's go from there to the first story on my list that I want us to talk about. It's not something that is new to the African market, especially when it comes to how Africans interact with global platforms. And this is drivers protesting in Kenya. I mean drivers on ride-hailing platforms like Uber and Bolt protesting in Kenya, demanding for the common things, the pricing and how they want these platforms to treat them, So the protest came with 2 demands. They want to be included in Uber and Bolt's pricing decisions. Like, you can't just make decisions without contacting us or our union, because they feel that many things are not put into consideration in the pricing. And they also address the issue of tax. So Chimgozirim, this is a very recurring issue. Right, every other day, Lagos State ride-hailing drivers in Lagos State come up with one thing or the other with their union, the request they are making, how they want the government to interfere and all. Why is this making the news again? Why are they always coming up with this? What puts them in this situation? How does Uber and Bolt see these riders that makes them not to be able to have access to some of these things they regularly request for?
So that sounds like 3 questions in one. So where do we start from now? Okay, so maybe we'll start from why is it making the news?
Yeah.
Because it happened.
It's not everything that happened that makes the news, This has to be interesting for it to make the podcast.
Okay, so why did it make the podcast? Maybe I'll explain why I decided or why I thought it should make the podcast. So this is, like you said, it's a recurring conversation. Drivers want to make more money. Uber says if we charge customers more money, we could alienate our customers. And then drivers are saying, no, we are the ones doing the work. We're just providing a platform. I mean, everybody's shouting, nobody's exactly listening to each other. So that's one reason. And but I guess the bigger reason I wanted us to have that conversation is, so you have a situation where there are 2 parties with different incentives, with different risks, like when I say risk that comes with the operations. So on one hand, Uber, Bolt, InDrive, LagRide, all the drives, like their business model is simple. I'm a marketplace. You come, you find a rider or you find a driver, and then we just provide the technology to locate each other and ensure that you're safe while you're on the trip. On the other hand, you have the drivers who are like the workers. They come there to find riders. Now, Uber has to ensure that it's always in business, and it's the way their business works is if there are no riders, it doesn't matter how many drivers you have. For the drivers, they could probably decide that they want to go offline and go find riders some way. But for Uber, if they are too expensive, users will most likely not use them. And we've seen how like ride-hailing prices have gone up In Nigeria now, since the fuel subsidy was taken away, we've seen ride-hailing prices go up, and already it would be interesting to look at Uber's back end or Bolt's back end, like to just see whether they've seen a drop, no matter how significant or how insignificant it is. So yeah, it's a problem that keeps on coming up, and one of the reasons why I think this keeps on coming up is the drivers want to be seen as employees, and
which is a fight that they might never win.
I think not. I don't even think they might never win it. I think they will never win it, and the reason is simple. Like Uber isn't incentivized to make you a worker. Yeah, so I think in Nigeria they're probably, I think Bolt should have about 100,000 drivers. Do you really want to take on 100,000 people, and then
Who are
it's
probably using other platforms.
yeah,
You
exactly.
get.
Good point actually. So now, as an employee, I have, of course, I could be doing more than one job, but my employer doesn't know. But most of the time, you have just one job, and that person is obligated to provide you with certain benefits.
Exactly.
If I do that to an Uber driver, what it also means, maybe they've not thought about this bit, is all the money you make will automatically go to Uber, and they perhaps place you on a certain salary.
Exactly.
So you lose some of the freedom that you have as a gig worker, where I know that if I work maybe 12 hours where another person works 8 hours, I would definitely make more money. But now the company could say, okay, fine, you want to be an employee, fine. You do not get, like, customers get to pay directly to us, and then we pay you what we feel is a fair fee. So if they want to be employees, because it's only in the gig economy that we see this kind of relationship between the person who is like employer and then the employed.
Yeah.
So I don't know that is the best thing for the riders themselves, even though they keep on agitating for benefits that are typically ascribed to employees. I do not know that that's the best thing for them, because, well, maybe on certain months you could do your 400k, maybe even more than that. But if you're placed on a salary, there's no, except in cases of maybe earning overtime, you're unlikely to like make the mad money that you expect. So I don't know that's the best thing for them, and I do not expect any of the ride-hailing players to like bow to these demands, except there is a regulatory nudge, or maybe the regulator says, "Oh, you must look at them as employees," and even then, I fully expect them to fight back.
Yes. So, as it were, it seems or it appears that the only way these gig workers can be protected is to find a way to make sure that the labor laws of that country, of that land, find a way to include gig workers, or in the list contract workers, find a way to protect them in the labor laws. If not, there's only so much you can do to hold these technology companies accountable,
Yeah,
because
so
they will keep saying it's just the tech we are providing.
yeah, so and since you're just talking about laws, regulations, and all of that, the truth is, one reason we have this problem is our labor laws, especially in Africa, we are not developed in fact, globally, our labor laws were not developed at a time when gig working was a thing. So all of these dynamics were not taken into consideration when they were being created.
Yeah.
Which I think leads us to a different conversation. Do we need to start reviewing labor laws?
Of course, to
ensure that we are
fit into-
accommodating
yes, to
certain
fit into what is
people,
going
because
on. Yes.
one of the things a lot of employees get or love about having a 9 to 5 is the benefits that come with it. But if you are going to increasingly see people do freelance roles, then perhaps we need to evaluate what our labor laws look like. And here's the thing: it's not just ride-hailing drivers here. It's going to extend to
Everyone
everyone
in the gig
in the gig
economy.
economy. So I think it's a call for us to really start looking at our labor laws in Africa. How do we evolve our labor laws to meet the needs of today's market or today's like basically to meet our context today. So yes, it's something that we should start thinking about. I don't know who leads this
I
conversation,
think
whether
is
it's
this. I think
employers.
these unions are in the best position to get this conversation started. or put
Unfortunately,
it
they
going.
are always fighting the wrong battles. Is it that they're trying to launch a new ride-hailing app? I don't know whether they think that it's so easy to launch a ride-hailing app, but they're always doing things that when you look at it, you're like, do you guys know that this doesn't really work in your favor? But yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe they would definitely have a role. I think
Yes,
that's
yeah,
that's
there
something
are
they should
stakeholders.
that's something they should do.
Because when these protests or these agitations happen, they are at the forefront of it. They are
Yeah.
the ones that speak to the press about their demands. And Uber and Bolt, the best thing you can do is to boycott their services in your location. But people's livelihood are based on it, so you can hardly boycott it. You
Exactly.
get.
We've seen how it worked in Nigeria now.
So just go to the right quarters. Make sure that there are legislations that address you and put you in a good place, right? And also liaise with other gig workers in the creator economy, and find a way to come up with suggestions or proposals that will favor you, especially when it comes to enjoying employee benefits. But interestingly, there are solutions that have come up that gig economy worker can use to put themselves in the same space as employees. Like there are platforms that you can use to secure yourself for HMO or pension, or if you want to pay your tax, everything. Those platforms are available. One comes to mind, I think Flans. I don't know
Yeah.
if they do that, still do that. That you will just do you will like, oh,
Get the
what's the
same
word?
benefits
Yes,
that
you
an
get the same
employed
benefits
person would
as an
get.
employee basis. So if you want those benefits, right, just enroll on those kind of apps and platforms and get it going. But
Probably the gig work providers, the likes of Uber, for example. I don't know what a partnership between them and startups like that look like as well. That could be something that
you can
goes
consider.
some way to fix this issue. So maybe a partnership between both parties, right?
Yeah.
That might help.
So aside from that, I think the valid thing that I can see here is the pricing, right? The pricing is always an issue that keeps recurring, especially when the economic situation is unstable.
Yeah.
So you want to, if you have your own business, you try to fix the price in a way that will favor you whenever the economy is the way it is. But it doesn't happen. It seems it doesn't happen like that with this platform. So these agitations probably calls the country managers' attention to it, that okay, we need to review the prices that is going on here, because these people need to be able to make a living. Things are costly in the market. They need to be able to afford things. So we need to review how much you charge. Although these companies might not want to review the commissions. That one, I don't know if they touch
They
it.
most likely would not be very willing to review
So it is coming
commissions.
to the users.
Yeah. So the thing is, even if you review prices, but the thing is, you review price to the point where people are willing to pay. So for the most part in Africa, and this is why I think it's harder for maybe the African players here. Not so. Here's the thing. Let's say you live on the mainland and you have to go to the island for any reason. Okay, let's say you only do 4 trips in a week, right?
An average.
On average, it's going to cost you anywhere from 9,500 to 12,000 naira for just one trip.
One leg of the trip.
Yeah, just one leg of the trip. Now let's go with 10,000 naira, right? And you have to do this 8 times. That's 80,000 naira. Our minimum wage is what? 30,000. I hear people have a new minimum wage until we see someone get it as a lot before we agree. But if you spend even half of that, 40,000 naira in a week, the vast majority of Nigerians cannot
afford that.
So if I am the one setting the price at a ride-hailing company, I'm thinking, what price do I need to, like how high can I go before I completely chase away all my customers? So it's a consideration
so
that
the balance.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah, you should find a balance, but I don't know. It's going to be. I don't want to be in the position of anyone who has to set these prices because it's tricky, really.
Yeah, it might not favor some parties at some point. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to find a way around it, because give it 1 or 2 weeks, another it's a protest in another country
Exactly.
or an agitation in another country. So I'm hoping these companies find a way around it to make sure that their drivers are comfortable, as well as the company is making profit and the users are able to use those platforms. So something new is going on with the Nigerian food delivery startup Chowdeck. If you have a Chowdeck app on your phone now, you can open it. You might see a yellow card out running on the platform. So it's possible that the startup is introducing an in-app advertising feature. It's interesting because it is not new to other markets, but it seems new to the Nigerian market. And looking at the what's it called, the perks that might come with it, or the possibilities that exist with in-app advertising, it seems that there should have been more platforms, or maybe e-commerce platforms, or what's it called, food delivery platforms or grocery delivery platforms that should have introduced this kind of features. But yes, Chowdeck might be introducing this, and more more users might be seeing ads running on their apps when they open it. It seems like a brilliant move, to be sincere, but we need to look at all the things that are surrounding it. Why is Chowdeck considering this now? What is in it for them? Are there platforms that have successfully done it? How has it turned out for them? So Shim Gozurim, what's your opinion about this new move, or this move by Chowdeck?
Okay. So I think it's brilliant for a number of reasons. One is that as a food delivery, grocery delivery, e-commerce startup, one of the challenges you're always fighting is low margins. It's because you're basically a middleman and you're getting goods and then delivering to someone, you're just making a very thin margin on all of that. And now, as a result, you need volume. So one way to like stay alive, scale your business, grow bigger than you currently are, would be to look for new revenue sources, right? And I think this is a very great way to explore. Funny thing, I was talking with a friend like a couple of months ago. He runs a similar business, and this was exactly what we were talking about, and I thought that was really brilliant. But yeah, I guess this Chowdeck has basically launched it, but like I said, I think it's brilliant, and one reason for that is, according to McKinsey, retail media revenue for retail media could get to as high as $1.3 trillion, right? And that's for the US alone. It could go way more than that, and not just the revenue being really high. So the report also says that the profit margins could be very high, between 50% and 70%. BCG says it could go as BCG says between 70% and 90%. But let's stay conservative, 60 to 70%, right? It's still a huge opportunity. And we've seen a few other outside this market, we've seen a few other players do something similar. So Amazon has an ad network, and last year it made $46.9 billion from that. That is about 10 times, about 12 times how much Africa raised last year, right? Just to put it in context. Walmart.
Startups in Africa.
Yeah, startups in Africa. Walmart did, I think, 3.4 billion. And then Instacart, which is like, I direct, a direct, I don't know what's the word there, but basically they operate a similar business model to Chowdeck. They made $871 million.
So there's a benchmark.
Yeah, so there's someone you can look at and say, oh, okay, this guy has done this, and because they've done this, we should or we can make this. So yeah, that's why I think That's like why I think this makes sense for them. There are, of course, there are a few other reasons. One is that they are growing really fast. In the last year alone, they've hit 500,000 users, and I believe they must have exceeded that
Exceeded
number
that.
right now. I don't know they've been reticent in like telling us exactly how many people are active, right? But they have 500,000 users. It's a huge number. They are also growing very, very fast. They have some data on these users, which means they can now push you in front
Target.
of potential advertisers. So, all in all, I think this is great. Would be interesting. I mean, of course, I still have like a few thoughts on how this could play out. I guess you have questions on
So
that.
so I think looking at how beautiful the model, the feature sounds and the prospect, right? Looking at how all those come Amazon, Instacart, and Walmart has made from advertisement.
Mhm.
It seems like I'm just wondering why hasn't other probably grocery delivery status platforms or food delivery platforms, even
Mhm.
Jumia, Jumia Food, why have
Why
they
haven't
not
they
considered adding
doing
this
this?
feature?
So
All this while.
I think a few people have tried something like this. I just can't remember the exact guys that have done this. I think a few people have tried it, but why is it not yet mainstream? There has to be a reason why it's not mainstream, and that would probably be me getting into the kind of challenges I think they would run into in running this. So, first is there's huge opportunity here, but on the other hand, advertising is an entirely different beast. Um, you're playing in a market that isn't your core strength.
Mm.
So do you want to split your attention? So let's look at Jumia, right? In order for Jumia to get to where they want to be the company they want to be, they are shedding with eliminating business lines that they do not want,
Mm.
right? So if you build out advertising capabilities, you are basically going into an entirely different business, right? You need new skills. You need to learn. You're learning entirely like it's different. You
Mm-hmm.
need very good algorithms. Unless our advertising is difficult, right? We know that from personal experience, but we also know it from X, right?
Mm.
X is interesting that I call it X without calling it Twitter. But yeah, X is
It's
like
gross.
growth score. So X is like the world's village square. Everybody goes there, but for some reason, people prefer advertising on Meta platforms
Mm.
to X. So that obviously shows you that advertising can be very tricky. Yes, you have the numbers that people want, but there has to be a reason why they come there. So if you, as a business, if I say I'm going to be advertising on Chowdeck, for example, you have to deliver on the promise that drove me to you or that attracted me to you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not do that, then I would most likely take my business elsewhere. And so, like I said, I think they would have to develop advertising skills or maybe hire someone to run that part of the business. I actually think they would do. So yeah, you guys are talking about, or we're talking about tapping into Google. Yes, that is or maybe any other ad platform. That is a possible route for them to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling they would want something more customized.
Mm.
So
Yes,
if they
because you know that these people, for them to, they are deliberate coming to your app.
yeah, so
They want to come and use your service.
exactly. So it's not like so on Google, for example, like I'm going there, maybe I'm just looking for information. Right. So it's slightly different from maybe I'm on Chowdeck. I want to buy food. Right. So yeah, I think you need advertising capabilities. But something else I'm
I
also
think it's
thinking
just to
about
add
is
to their team. You know,
what?
like include like have a team that handles that, and does would they have to also develop their infrastructure?
Yeah, they would have to because I believe building software for fintech for grocery delivery is vastly different from building software for advertising,
Surely when you're not
right?
plugging into Google
Yeah,
AdSense.
or even any existing provider, like it will be different. So you need that experience. You need to
Mm-hmm.
understand how people buy stuff, why they buy things, and all of that. So they would probably be making. I kind of expect people to I kind of expect them to be hiring for someone to run that part of the business very, very soon. So yeah, it makes sense, but it's not going to be as simple. And I actually expect if they can crack it to some extent, right? I expect others who might be at that scale because again, the scale that you're at would determine whether you're a valuable ad platform. If you have maybe 30,000 users, of course you can build an ad product, but perhaps I would not be as eager to advertise on because 30,000 users, how many of them are active? I might not be that eager.
Yeah, but is there
compared to
like
these guys.
a flip side to this? Like, okay, now it might look like good business for
Chowdeck.
Chowdeck, but
Mhm.
on the customer side, is there a flip side? Is there anything they can be worried about? Or a downside it might be for Chowdeck and the customers might say, let me just go with competitors.
Okay, so I mean, I already mentioned one, which is that advertising is different from grocery delivery. So you need different skills, you need different considerations for all of that. There's a risk that a new business line takes you away from your core business line because Chowdeck's advertising cannot work without Chowdeck's food, grocery delivery, medicine delivery, all of that. Right. So one is required for the other to work. So there's always a risk that they over concentrate resources on trying to make this ad work and they neglect or they kind of lose sight of the core business. There's always that risk. So yeah, that's always going to be one. But the other problem I think they could run into is pissing users off, right?
Like
You have you get ads literally everywhere you go. And I know people don't pay for YouTube Premium and they are cool with getting every big companies in the world use BigQuery.
I don't
They are
know.
cool with that, right?
I don't know how to. I can't remember that life again.
Okay.
See, I'm not being
Well,
proud, but I can't. I don't know if
you're
I
not being
can.
proud, but you're being proud.
I don't know if I can use YouTube with ads again.
Okay. Anyway, whether you can use them or not. So my point is that everyone is using, like you see ads everywhere. And do I really want to be seeing an ad when I'm about to buy food? A lot of people will not care, to be honest, but a few people might.
Yeah.
So you risk pissing users off. But on the other side, or on the other hand of pissing users off, is for you to build an effective ad product, and I'm talking about meta level effective, you need my data. And people are getting touchy
With
about
data.
their data. It doesn't look like Nigerians are catching on really quickly, but we are seeing
As fast as we have expected, right?
not really as fast as I would have expected. I mean, see, the thing is, you need a certain level of education to care about privacy and all of that. That's what I think here. You need a certain level of education, maybe even a certain level of sophistication for you to care about your data privacy. So I do not what do you call it? I do not expect them to have issues with Nigerians yet. But I mean, they're already collecting data. So the thing is now, what are you now collecting my data for?
What am I using it for?
And what are you using my data for? So that's probably one of the challenges they could have. Would users
maybe the time we start having issues is when you are with your friends talking about shawarma, and then the next thing
that
you
pops
see
up
on your screen on
exactly,
Chowdeck is shawarma. That is when we start.
I'm talking about my spoiled AirPods, and then I go on Chowdeck and I see
Ogheneruemu AirPods.
Exactly. So people may be touchy about their data, but yeah, if you manage it well. So far, I don't know that the likes of Amazon and Walmart, for example, have major problems, like major complaints from users on that. So, well, all things being equal, they should figure that out maybe over the next few months, and then we can see what that market looks like.
And then they probably officially announce it because it seems Chowdeck is kind of quiet.
I mean, they really do not need to announce every move.
This is a big one. Let's not.
Why do I need to announce a new revenue line?
Okay, so that
Because
when you
that's essentially what.
so that your
it is.
customers will know that what this is what you are up to. Well, maybe,
Well, customers are going to find out one way. So this is different from maybe when they signed a partnership with what do you call it, with
Cloud
ShopRite
Apps,
and the like.
kitchen.
So yeah, they may. Well, anyway, if they want to, they can.
So
Well, I don't care.
we hope that this turns out well, so that it can at least fuel other platforms with the courage to go ahead with it. It seems that there's a big market here.
Today's insight of the week has to do with agriculture. Agriculture's contribution to Nigeria's GDP has been on a downward trend since 2020. The only other time it experienced some kind of growth was back in 2016. To get more details on this insight, simply follow the link in the description, and to see all sorts of insights about Nigeria and the whole of Africa, just go to intelpoint.co.
So Nigeria is up to something. Chingo's really have to do that. Yes, Nigeria is up to something, and I'm serious about that. It is planning a digital intervention for farmers. You know, citizens are in the mind of the government, and this time the government is planning to develop an app that will help farmers. Now, when we talk about apps and farmers, many things, some of the things that come to mind is probably an app that helps them to predict the weather, an app that helps them to have access to produce or seedlings, an app that helps them to have access to loans, an app that brings together a community of farmers, an app that does many things, an app that has like an AI integration that tells them when you should go to the farm and when you should not, an app that connects farmers with people that can buy their produce. There are a lot of things, an app that, okay, I'm just trying to show you the possibilities that exist around the digital intervention. Okay. Now, Nigeria is up to something. Guys, please, I'm trying to be serious here. Nigeria is up to something, and it wants to create an app for farmers. Now, there are a lot of things around this because when situations like this happen, it's not new. It's not new because there are startups that have products like that. You know,
how many startups have apps for farmers?
You know, when you think of a problem, there are different ways you can approach the problem. So agri-tech platforms that probably offer prediction services to farmers. We want to shut it down recently, but that's not the news. There are agri-tech solutions that provide help farmers to have predictions about planting seasons, times when there will be pests in the for certain crops, and help them to make decisions. There are platforms like that. One shut down recently. That is I don't know whether I'm just trying to tell you that they have a way of addressing these problems. The Nigerian government wants to use an app. That is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so don't okay. Finish your defense of the
I'm
Nigerian
not trying
government.
to defend the solution. I'm not trying to defend the intervention. I'm just trying to tell you that there are different problems.
So why are we even calling this an intervention?
That is what they call it. They call it a digital intervention.
Okay, no, let's not me join the mind. Go ahead.
Yes. Now, the problems exist. Now, the government approach is what we have problem with.
What do we?
I and other citizens of Nigeria, we have problem with the approach because there are a lot of variables around it. So Chingo is going to tell us those variables.
You finish,
guys.
You finish wait, no. You finish giving a defense of your government, and then I'm the one that's supposed to point out the. Okay,
no,
fine.
I'm talking about the variables because we've established that innovations have a way of finding solutions to some issues, including the problems that farmers face. EUs.
Okay. So
EUs. Now, let's talk about the variables that surround it that are not filling people with confidence about how the government wants to approach this.
Okay. We should talk about the variables.
Yes, the variables.
Yeah, I'll talk about the variables.
Yeah, whichever one you want to address.
My first question would be the same question that everybody is asking. Which one of you tech bros thought that this was a smart idea, sold it to someone in Abuja?
Good question.
That's the first question. Which one of you Okay, no, you may not have thought it was a smart idea, but you may have thought that this was a very good way for you to make money. And then you decided to. I mean, some thoughts are supposed to, they should stay in your head, never to make it out.
Well, this made it out.
Yeah, sadly, that's
so
it. Like,
I think so I think we should just present the fact, right?
What's the fact here?
Nigerian farmers, there are a lot of Nigerian farmers, and most of them are smallholder farmers, right? So like the larger percentage of Nigerian farmers are smallholder farmers. Smallholders in the sense that what they produce, what they produce, they mostly eat what they produce, and only a little quota of that goes to commercial.
Okay, so let's even start from the top here. So you want to build an app for farmers, right? Apart from the fact that it's a bad idea. I mean, yes, it's a bad idea. Okay, so I will probably say why. Okay, let me say why it's a bad idea.
Okay.
First of all, it's like you've pointed out, yeah. I think about 80% or so of Nigeria's farmers are smallholder farmers, right? We have, what do you call it? Okay, yeah, we have 38 million smallholder farmers in Nigeria. 88% of them are considered small family farms, and more than 72% live below the poverty line.
Now,
do these people sound like the kind of people that be downloading an app
on their smartphones?
So here's the thing: the app is supposed to be first of all,
smartphone.
good question. They don't even have a smartphone because this is supposed to be an e-extension program, and basically, some of the services you mentioned that could be use cases are like extension services.
Yeah.
I don't know if you grew up maybe close to certain local governments, or like I don't know what your childhood was like, but I know that like at some point in this country, every local government had an extension service, so you could get assistance, agricultural assistance, whether it was knowledge, tools, and all of that from the agricultural extension office. I don't know if those things still run. So I mean, basically, what they're trying to do now is move it online, but you want to do it with an app. And the thing is, this is going to end badly, assuming it has not ended badly. So I've already said why I think this doesn't make sense. Because first of all, we have bigger problems. I think this has become a theme with every tech move that this government makes. We have bigger problems. I think it was last week that Able Minister was saying that was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Able Minister was saying we need startups building solutions for, farming in a box. I'm not saying more than that, yeah, but
you can find it on X.
Yeah, you can. Of course, you always find it on X. So yes, I think this is another bad idea that will fail. Whoever, yeah, it's going to fail. If it doesn't fail, we can do it.
I'm just thinking of a typical day in the life of a smallholder farmer. You wake up and it's time to go to the farm. Then you bring out your smartphone. Then you check on Nigerian's farmers app. I already gave it a name. I said it here first. Then you look at it and you see weather forecast, and you look at who are the people that want to buy corn today.
I'm just thinking like, what's the use of this thing to someone whose farm probably makes like 100,000 naira a month?
So yes, that is it. I think,
or even less.
So it's not as if there are no startups solving these problems, but they solve it a different way, right? They have the intelligence. They find out this information, then they reach out to farmers community.
Why are you trying to make a case for your government?
I'm not making a case for. I'm trying to say that if they want to come with this intervention, there is the proper way they should have gone about it.
Can we not call it intervention?
Digital intervention.
Can we not call it intervention? It feels like they're doing something good.
They intended. It's the thought that matters.
The lie. Which thought? No, the thought that matters counts in your relationships, not in politics. Which sadly, this is what.
Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to talk about the way it works for startups. A few years ago, I featured a South African startup, Itiki, and it's an artificial intelligence startup that helps farmers to make predictions, right, on what crops to plant in what season, how to protect their crops from pests at certain seasons. And the way it works is, in fact, these startups, they serve farmers communities. They do not serve like B2C. They don't do B2C. They don't
they use
focus. They don't use apps. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's my own.
Yes, I'm providing alternatives to the apps. I'm talking about alternatives to the apps.
Okay.
Right. So you can go ahead and build this intelligence or whatever tool you want to build, and then reach out to farmer communities with the intelligence you get from it to help them pass it across to individual farmers and help them make their decisions. Right. Yes. I don't know why, but I just feel that.
No, the only reason I'm laughing is I just remember who is building for this.
Yes, if you don't get that reference, go and look for it on X.
You asked that question, and just barely 2 weeks later, someone responds.
Now,
God knows this is not the kind of innovation you need to be seeing.
Right,
God.
and then coupled with the startups building stuff like that, they're more agile. They can do things on the go, but coupled with the bureaucracies that come with government solutions, like if there's a bug and there are a lot of things to consider here.
I'm sorry, listeners. This particular series was supposed to just be us laughing at the Nigerian government because, man, this is just the latest in the long list of. I think I should write an article like just a list of all the bad ideas that this.
Yes,
all the bad tech ideas.
Yes, in the last 1 year.
To be
because the list will be long, so we have to reduce it to the last 1 year. So yes,
anyway,
Kim Goswin will work on that. But yes, that is what is going on with the Nigerian government. As me, Kim Goswin will say I should not mention it as it pertains to digital interventions. So that is what we'll be ending today's podcast with. Thank you for joining us. We always like to hear from you on our social media platforms.
Yes, please digitally interview.
You can reach out to us on our via email through podcast@techpoint.africa. Podcast@techpoint.africa. We'd love to hear from you. You can drop a review if you're listening to this on Spotify. You can also send us. We would like to hear from you. You can comment on any of the snippets that you see. We love to hear your thoughts about the stories we've talked about today. Don't forget, we have newsletters that are running, and today is a good day. It's sad that Volu is not on this podcast, but today is a good day to mention that one new newsletter has joined our list of newsletter, and the name, if you want to clap, you can clap. Go ahead and clap. Yes. Yeah, and the name of the newsletter is How Cool Tech Works. Interestingly, there's also a podcast for that, How Cool Tech Works, where we talk about the intricacies of the things that we use tech that we use every other day that we just feel there's nothing going on in the back end, but there are a lot going on in the back end. And this podcast and this newsletter will help you to know that. So don't forget to subscribe to that newsletter and also subscribe to Modern Workplace newsletter, Equity Merchant newsletter, and also our daily Tech Point Digest. Thank you very much for joining us once again today. Catch you in the next one. Bye. She was going to say bye.
Bye.